Stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, on behalf of the board, I welcome all members of the audience to this evening's meeting. This meeting is a working session of the board to conduct the business of the district. The agenda for today's meeting has been published, and the agenda items to be discussed and/or voted on have been studied by board members. I'll introduce the people here on the dais with me. To my far left is Recording Secretary Cindy Benson, Superintendent Larry Francois, board members Amy Cast, Sandy Hayes, and Kimberly D'Angelo. Dawn McCravey is joining us via teleconference. Welcome, Dawn. And I'm Janet Quinn, and I currently serve as president of the board. Agendas for this meeting, as well as minutes from our previous meeting, are available on the table at the back. If you are here to address the board on agenda items, please sign in on the clipboard that's on the table with the agendas, and you'll have an opportunity near the beginning of the meeting to address the board. First order of business is the superintendent's report.
Good evening. Welcome, everyone. I want to begin tonight by recognizing our 11 North Shore schools that are 2014 Achievement Award-winning schools announced recently by OSPI, the State Board of Education. Congratulations to the students, staff, families, and school communities for this well-deserved recognition of the hard work and dedication taking place each day. So in the areas of math growth, our recognized schools are Arrowhead Elementary, East Ridge Elementary, Shelton View, and Woodmore. Wooden. In the area of reading growth, our recognized schools are Fernwood, Shelton View, Sunrise, and Wooden. In the area of English language acquisition, our recognized schools are Kokanee and Maywood Hills. In the area of high progress, North Shore Networks has been recognized. And in the area of overall excellence, Fernwood, Inglemoor High School, Shelton View, and Woodville High School. So congratulations to all of those schools. I also want to recognize and congratulate North Shore teachers Mike Weiras, Claire Farr, Trudy Swain, and Crystal Radisky for being selected for the Washington Alliance for Better Schools 2015-16 STEM externship program. So each one will have the opportunity to work in a participating industry over the summer and collaborate with fellow teachers, industry representatives, and higher ed partners to apply that learning in their classroom instruction. And similarly, I want to recognize and congratulate North Shore teachers Jillian Bennett, Deborah Fullerton, and Lori Hardwick for being selected for the Washington Alliance for Better Schools 2015 and 16 STEMS Fellows Program. So over the course of next school year, these teachers will participate with a team of fellow teachers, industry partners, and higher ed partners to develop, trial, assess, and improve instructional units that bring real-world problem and project-based learning into their classrooms. Way back on May 31st, because we haven't had a meeting in quite a while, we had a sit visit at Hollywood Hill Elementary. I want to thank and acknowledge Principal Joanne Todd, who in her first year at Hollywood Hill has clearly embraced and extended the good work taking place there, particularly around their STEM initiative. And as always, I want to give my thanks and appreciation to the Hollywood Hill staff and students for welcoming us into their classrooms and providing an opportunity for us to see their powerful teaching and learning in action. I went straight from that on May 31st and attended a barbecue lunch celebration at North Creek High School at the construction site, recognizing the placement of the last piece of steel framing. The framing of the entire school, 250,000 square feet, took place in just slightly over 2 months. And construction continues on budget and well ahead of schedule, which is great news. And then later in the day on the 31st, we were all back together again attending the Conversations with the Board hosted at Skyview Junior High. I would say we had a really good turnout of probably 30 to 40 people, and lots of good questions and discussions about the future direction of the district. On April 7th, I believe all of us were attending the North Shore Scholarship Light a Fire for Learning Luncheon. As always, outstanding displays of student learning in all the ways the foundation enhances opportunities for our students and staff. A highly successful luncheon. They raised over $140,000 to support the foundation's ongoing work on behalf of students, staff, and schools. And then later in the day on the 7th, I participated in the Wall of Honor selection process. So once again, an impressive collection of North Shore graduates and staff members nominated for the Wall. The 2015 inductee class will be composed of 10 extraordinary members who've made contributions in their fields locally, regionally, nationally, and/or internationally. And just as a future calendar date, the induction ceremony is scheduled for the evening of August 13th, which is a Thursday at Popkini Stadium. On April 21st, I had the opportunity to attend an all-day WASA leadership workshop where we discussed and revised our association's goals and priorities for the coming year. And as a reminder, I'll be serving as the WASA Superintendent Component Chair during the 2015-16 school year and will remain a member of the WASA Board for the next 2 years. On April 22nd, I had the pleasure of meeting with several families from the Islamic Center of Bothell who presented Carolyn O'Keefe and I with gift baskets prepared by the students. I really appreciate the outreach from the center to become acquainted with us as their new neighbors. And the children, several of whom are in our schools, were extremely enjoyable and fun, and kids are kids everywhere. It was just a really great opportunity to visit with them. On the 24th, last Friday, we hosted the PTSA Connections Lunch here at the Admin Center. Another great opportunity to share information about important events taking place in the district and respond to questions and solicit feedback. I want to thank Leanna Albrecht and our communications department for organizing, facilitating these lunches. On the 25th, last Saturday, I attended the Wall of Honor brunch hosted at the Foundation House. There were close to 70 people in attendance to support the Wall of Honor and raise money for their operational expenses and new scholarship program. I didn't catch his last name. I know I forgot it, but the scholarship recipient is Brendan, who's Vice President of DECA, and his parents were actually there and received a scholarship in his place because he was at DECA International Competition, where he was bound and determined to finish first in his event after finishing second in international competition last year, so a well-deserving young man. And then later in the day on the 25th, actually, I joined Director Hayes and attended the University of Washington's Bothell Diversity and Inclusion Conference. So this is their first annual conference hosted at UW by their new Director of Diversity, Terrell Ross. I thought it was a worthwhile conference. There were some interesting sessions and opportunities to engage with other attendees. I particularly liked the last session on microaggressions, which is a new term for me. And I'll be participating and co-presenting with Terrell at an upcoming Bothell Chamber Luncheon where my part is to share information about the changing demographics of our school community. And yesterday, I had the opportunity to visit Jen Williams' 5th grade class at Arrowhead Elementary. So several of her students, as part of their research-based argumentative writing, chose to write me about a variety of topics, including things like the argument for less homework, longer recesses, shorter school days, and school uniforms were just some of the topics. So it was great to go out and talk with the students. I spent about 30 minutes fielding their questions, and they had lots of questions about who are you and what do you do, and that was a whole lot of fun. So they're very thoughtful, respectful, and we're really interested in how I utilize my reading and writing skills every day in my work, and so that was a nice connection to make with them. Last night I attended the EDTF meeting where the task force received a presentation on the modifications to the boundary plan recommended by the boundary subcommittee following the February and March open houses and process some of the more challenging revisions to the plan. So I, again, want to congratulate the committee and the leadership of the committee. I continue to be impressed and deeply appreciative of the thoughtful work of the task force through this difficult, challenging process. It's not realistic, obviously, in a district of our size to expect that all families will be pleased with the final outcome of the boundary process. But I think it's important to be able to represent with sincerity and conviction that the process was thoughtful and included a high level of stakeholder input. And I feel strongly that we can all stand behind that. The final draft boundary plan will be presented to the board at the May 26th board meeting. There's still a little bit of work left for the EDTF to do, but we're on target to meet that timeline. That's it.
All right, thank you, Larry. The North Shore School District Board of Directors has set aside a period of up to 60 minutes to receive updates and comments from association leaders and citizens from our community. The board expects speakers to address matters related to district operations, policies, procedures, and agenda items under consideration by the board. Comments should not make reference to any employee or representative from the district by name. If interested, there is a complaint process available through the Office of the Superintendent. Please note that because of the public governance process, the board may ask clarifying questions regarding topics not on the meeting's agenda, but will likely defer discussion to a future meeting if warranted, in order for staff to prepare any necessary background information for board members to review, and for the discussion item to be included on a published agenda. for the benefit of any other parties who may have interest in the topic. Alternatively, a district employee or board member may respond to individuals offering public comment at a later date. When addressing the board, please state your name clearly for our records. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. There is a timer that will sound when your time has expired. We appreciate your participation in the governance process. And we'll start with association leaders. I see Tim.
Good evening. My name is Tim Berthel. I'm the president of the North Shore Education Association. I'd like to first start on a personal note of asking for your understanding of me not being here for a while. I'm happy to report to you that I am declared as of last week cancer-free by my doctor. So, thank you. At times, history and fate meet at a single time in a single place to shape a turning point in man's unending search for freedom. That is a quote from Lyndon Johnson in March of 1965 following the Selma March. Many citizens of Selma were concerned about the closure of the bridge, the inconvenience that it would cause, and the audacity of the marchers to march that day. They were very less concerned about the conditions that caused the march, the repression that had been going on for so long. They didn't care about that. They cared about the inconvenience. Today, our civil rights issue in Washington State concerns the constitutional rights of our students to go to a school that is fully funded by the state legislature. And our state legislature is an abysmal failure in this regard. Teachers, civic groups, banded together under the news organization to sue the state of Washington and prevail. Since that time, the legislature is defied. The courts, the voters, the citizens of this state. They've lost in court. They lost in the appeals court. They lost in the Supreme Court, culminating in this last fall with a contempt citation being issued against our state legislature, giving them one last legislative session to fix the problem, to come up with the plan as they had been ordered by the courts. And they have not done that. The Senate budget currently under consideration does not decrease class sizes, it increases class sizes in defiance of an initiative passed by the voters of this state. Neither budget, the House nor the Senate budget, addresses Initiative 1351. You, the Board of Directors of the North Shore School District, are plaintiffs in the news litigation here. You pay your dues to the news organization to continue your involvement. But what we haven't heard are your voices. And I ask you, why? You as board members are charged with seeing that the rights of these citizens, these students, are being met by the state legislature. But yet, we haven't heard much. A state senator, even in the school district, Senator Andy Hill, who is the main Senate budget writer, continues the defiance of the court order. I ask that you no longer sit silent. I ask that you rise up, just as we are. You know that we are taking a vote right now concerning a one-day walkout. This is not what we want to do. We want to teach. We want to be in our classrooms. But we are no longer going to be the doormats for the state legislature. In considering this closure, it is something we consider with a very serious mind. We've tried to take into consideration both the IB as well as AP testing schedule. Neither of those will be impacted by whatever action we take. After-school activities and athletics should continue. Those aren't paid out of state money. They're paid out of our local money, and there are different contracts we sign. We do not believe that any after-school activities should be affected by our actions. Likewise, for field trips that have been scheduled, monies paid, plans made, preparations done by students, those should still occur. But unfortunately, we will most likely not be in session one day. Our vote will conclude tomorrow by noon. We will do a press release later in the day in which we will talk about what the result of our vote is and what day we will be taking an action and what those actions would be. I encourage you, as members of the North Shore School Board, to join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Sherry?
Hi, I'm Sherry Rudolph, North Shore PTSA Council President. Thank you, first of all. I hadn't got a chance to thank all of you for the quick, not quick, but I guess really decisive action on the later start times and listening to the community. So wanted that opportunity to tell you that. Also, wanted to let you know, apologize I wasn't here Friday, miss all of you, but was very excited to attend Washington State Convention. That was during our spring break. Several units won awards. We'll list those all at the brunch, which unfortunately does conflict with the North. It doesn't conflict. It just gives you a very full day and a lot of breakfast food. So I just want to make sure you all have that on your calendar. Okay. And then also, we had some amazing speakers. Just Dr. Steve Constantino, he's a superintendent in Virginia, and he talked about family engagement and how it really does encourage learning and helps kids in so many ways that are just beyond what we can imagine. And it was very inspiring. And then Washington State Teacher of the Year, kind of very similar vein, was talking about just that it's really beyond academics, it's beyond test scores, it's beyond you know, what all the, you know, book learning. It really is about, you know, all of us becoming lifelong learners, the kids becoming kind and gentle human beings that care about one another. So it's a very great theme, and we had so much fun. Also got updates on the higher education that is actually still somewhat in some of the budgets, maybe. We'll see, but definitely Carrie will keep us updated, and I think you're all signed up for her alerts. And then also social emotional health is still in play a little bit. So actually the writer, one of our organizers from Bellevue, she's from Bellevue School District. I got to talk with her quite a bit. She's going to come speak at one of our meetings and kind of say how it started 4 years ago from the ground floor. So I'm really excited, and I'll let you all know about that. Also, I'm excited about the success of Kathleen and Kit Topaz and the team and Carolyn going around talking about Smarter Balance and getting that all organized. Now there's another one tomorrow night at Leota Junior High from 6 to 7:30. So just really liking the way that we've been able to get that word out to parents in that partnership. So that's been great. And just wanted to make sure you knew about the full day you're going to have for the brunch, and excited to see you then. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Are there any other association leaders that are here to address us? Okay. We'll move to citizen comments, and we'll start with Jeff Barkarson. Is that correct?
Good evening. My name is Jeff Barkarson. I'm a school bus technician with North Shore School District. We're here today to once again ask for help from the board for our plight. Start with kind of a short story. Does anybody remember the bus that was late a few years back, like 5 or 6 years ago, with to the graduation of the graduating seniors? Nobody remembers it because mechanics were there. The bus did break down on 405. Two mechanics responded out there, got the bus back going, so everybody made it to graduation on time. That is what we do. We're kind of a forgotten part of the transportation department. When you think of transportation, it's school buses, drivers, bus stops, the song, the wheels on the bus go round and round. Nobody thinks that when that bus doesn't start, somebody repairs it. Buses break down just like your own personal cars. They need maintenance, oil changes, tires, brakes. That is our job with North Shore School District. We work closely with Washington State Patrol for safety records. We just completed our Washington State safety inspection, where the State Patrol comes and inspects every school bus, puts it up in the air, spends 20 minutes going over each school bus the district owns, and support cars that the district carries students in. We have excellent safety records. State Patrol enjoys coming to see us. They realize that we are a dedicated team that cares. We care about our fleet, care about our drivers, we care about the students, care about getting everybody to school on time in the morning and back home safely. We have found ourselves forgotten in other areas also, the wages. North Shore's team of mechanics have not received a base pay raise in over 6 years. When the economy was slowing down, we were asked to work with the district, and we did. We worked taking no raises at all, and accepting when we were told that during our negotiations, when times turn around and things change, we will make it up to you. If it was a you work with us, we will work with you. And we did that. During our time, we have seen, after 6 years, that other departments have gotten raises where we had none. We have also watched our neighboring school districts receive pay raises, including districts such as Bellevue, Issaquah, Mukilteo, and Lake Washington. We believe that our time is now. We have worked with the district, we have put in our time, we have waited patiently and asked politely.
Speaking of time, that is your time.
Oh.
If you have additional comments, you are welcome to give them to Cindy, and we would be happy to read them.
Okay.
She'll copy them for all of us, make sure we get them all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dave Schoschbeck? Dale, I'm sorry.
Thank you for allowing us to speak. Appreciate it. This may not be worded perfect because my wife wasn't home. Hi, my name is Dale Schoschbeck. I lived in Kenmore for 36 years, graduated from Bothell High School, and I worked for North Shore School District in the bus shop as a mechanic since '06. And for the prior 3 years, drove for North Shore School District. I've been a mechanic for 38 years. The older I get, the more disturbed I get, and as us in a group in North Shore School District Transportation is how we are treated. We are way below the average of all the surrounding districts in pay. And as a group, we have an extreme responsibility to keep all of the buses safe, and as well as numerous vehicles running and safe on the roads. Other departments have received pay bumps several times since '08. We've received nothing. This is the first time in 9 years that we have had to approach the school board. Are we begging for scraps? We are professional mechanics working in a great shop. We deserve better pay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dale. John Edwards?
Hello, my name is John Edwards. I'm also a mechanic in the bus shop. I'm fairly new to the district. I've only been here a year, but all of us are very well trained, very professional mechanics. We take great pride in what we do. We try our hardest every day to make sure every bus out there is safe for all the kids that are going to be on it. You know, no breakdowns, so nothing going on with them. And it is sad that as professionals, how low we are paid. Compared to all the neighboring districts have had raises. Even other departments have had raises accumulating up to like 7 or 8%. And the district's telling us that we cannot get a raise because they don't want to pay the other departments as much. Sorry, I misworded that. They don't want to give us a higher raise because they have to pay everyone else the same. But they aren't even offering us what they offered them. I don't remember the exact percentages. I don't have a piece of paper. But yeah, it is sad that we have to try so hard to get a raise when we have an excellent safety record. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Jesse Harrigan?
Good evening. Jesse Harrigan. I'm also a school bus technician with North Shore School District. I've also been fairly new to the district. I've been there about a year. It's great guys to work with. It's a great shop to work in, but I'd also like to echo the sentiments of my coworkers regarding wages. I'd just like the school board to know what we're dealing with and just make them aware of our issue. And just take into consideration what we're dealing with right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Dodie Emsley Pye?
Good evening. I am Dodie Emsley Pye, and I'm a bus driver for 13 years. I'd like to speak on behalf of all bus drivers. What is the safety of our children worth? Our mechanics continue to repair and maintain our buses to the highest standards in spite of no contract and no current negotiations. They care about safety, the safety of the children on the buses, the safety of the drivers operating the buses, and in consequence, the overall safety of our North Shore community. Attracting and retaining quality mechanics is difficult due to the monies offered by the district and compared to our sister districts in the Puget Sound area. Please remember, our mechanics maintain all the vehicles and a whole host of equipment run by the grounds crew. They work on an ever-increasing but aging fleet, which creates or requires more repairs. Buses are not getting fixed as quickly as in the past. The buses are more technically difficult to diagnose, requiring more expertise and knowledge. Our mechanics take pride in their work and are committed to the safety of our children's buses. Isn't it time North Shore committed to our mechanics? Thank you.
Thank you, Dodie. Ken Smith?
So I am not a bus mechanic, but I support them in their request for communication. I thank you for meeting and having the open time. I have two fairly quick items. One is something I emailed earlier today, which is a list of 10 questions about agenda item 16. And so if you would have any questions that you would be able to ask during tonight's meeting, that would be appreciated. The second item is a matter that we've been discussing back and forth in the past few weeks related to the audit and certain controls. And in specific, one of the things that I found is that the district does not seem to have a whistleblower or a hotline that is commonly accepted in organizations, and it is recommended by the Government Finance Officers Association in their policy from 2007. And I'll just read it. It's the second of 7 bullet points, but at a minimum, governments are expected to establish practical mechanisms, e.g. a hotline, to permit the confidential, anonymous reporting of concerns about fraud or abuse and questionable accounting or auditing practices to the appropriate responsible parties. So I was hoping that tonight you would be talking about the procedures that you were working towards to get a whistleblower or hotline put together. I hope that's on tonight's agenda. You have that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Steve Johnson?
Steve Johnson. I'm a teacher at Sheltonville Elementary, but I'm here to address you tonight as a property owner. I have a development going in around the Apply Canyon Creek and Skyview Junior High School, 41 homes. I spent 3 hours a day in an examiner's hearing, and I found out that North Shore does not collect any impact fees for development. And there are parents there that were wondering why the development is going to be allowed, seeing as how overcrowded those schools are right there. And so my question is, why don't we charge an impact fee? And I hope we get an answer sometime in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. So I realize that this is an awkward forum for addressing the board, and it is what it is, but we want to assure you always that you are heard, and we appreciate your coming to talk to us regardless of what your topic is. So thank you for taking the time to come and address us tonight. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on any of the items on the consent agenda?
I have a question about the school calendar.
It's no longer, the school
Oh,
calendar has
okay.
been removed
That
and
was
is
on
a
mine.
separate item now. Yeah. Are there any other questions on, thinking of something?
I have some questions for on the consent agenda.
On the consent agenda? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Okay. So I have some questions about Woolsonville Phase 3.
Yeah, go ahead.
There is an allowance for repair to the existing glue lam beams at Building C. What is wrong with the glue lam beams? Has some damage occurred, and why?
Karen Musiker is on her way to the microphone.
Could they speak into the microphone a little bit? It is difficult to hear.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah, that was good, John.
I'm sorry that I can't answer specifically what's wrong, but I'd be happy to ask that question of the contractors and architects.
Okay, also on the Phase 3 is an allowance for smart boards. That's included. How many smart boards, where are they being placed, and how will the accounting for those smart boards be handled? Will this come out of the tax levy?
Alan is on his way to the microphone.
I can't get you the numbers of the smart boards, but I can ask Shelby and she'll have that number for you. And as far as the cost from, yes, that would come out of the tech levy.
It will come out of the tax levy?
Yes.
Do we have a way that that's reported to the board? I have trouble seeing the different places money comes from and how things are paid for.
Could you?
Is that reported somehow to the board?
Yeah, we have a quarterly report that we send regarding the capitally funded projects that technology gets involved with. It's not a lot of detail, but whenever you have questions, we can certainly give you additional information.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I had a question about the AC to the library. Why is an allowance for providing AC to the library included in Phase 3? Why wasn't that included when the library was built?
That's an addition to the scope of this project based on a condition that has come from the fact that the library sits on top of the kitchen, and the appliances that are in it generate a lot of heat, which is resulting in significant heat in the library. To my knowledge, that's a fairly recent issue, and it was included now in the scope of this project so that we can take care of it at the same time.
I see. And there weren't electrical utility charges included in the estimate. Why was that?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
there were no electrical utility charges. It specifically said electrical utility charges were not included in the estimate. Why weren't they?
Karen, was that in a previous submittal?
It may have been part of the recent
earlier-
procurement.
the
I'd
earlier
go back,
package.
yeah.
It says regarding note, sheet W2.00. It was 16C. And I'll just remind board members that if you have questions, it's really helpful to send them to staff in advance so that they can prepare the information and have it available during the board meeting.
And as I've said numerous times, I don't like asking questions previously. I don't mind getting questions later answered, but I do mind that the rest of the board can't hear the questions.
No, I just mean alert them that you are asking the questions so that they come to the meeting prepared with the answers. That can be
I'm
helpful for
also
staff.
curious on the out-of-state travel about what it is in Bend, Oregon that teaches about Washington State history. You want to answer that?
Are we moving off the other one? Okay. Okay, ask that question again, Dawn.
What?
So I think Don's question was about the Woodmore Elementary field trip going to Oregon. So it is unusual for an elementary school to go out of state on a field trip.
Hi, Don, this is Kathleen. That is a PACE field trip program that has been, since we moved, Kokanee and Woodmore PACE together. They do that together every year. It's part of the PACE program at Woodmore, and it happens every year.
Right. What are they teaching in Bend, Oregon about what facility is that exactly that does that?
I'd have to investigate and get you some answers. I know they do it every year, and I think it's more about pioneers and the westward expansion and all that, and there happens to be a place in Oregon that kind of focuses on that, but let me get you some more information on it, and I'll be glad to give it to you.
Thank you very much, Kathleen.
You're welcome.
Was that all of your questions, Dawn, on the consent agenda?
That's it.
Okay. I think Amy had something as well.
No, I didn't.
No? Okay.
Not consent.
Okay, any further discussion on the consent agenda? If not, we'll call for a vote. Are you able to vote, Dawn?
I'm not getting anything.
Would you try join meeting again?
I've tried cruise control has been disabled, so it's giving me a sync button, but it's not giving me anything to vote on.
This is the first time we've tried remote access during a board meeting, so forgive us for our technical difficulties. We'll pause for just a moment.
I can just vote aye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is, that passes unanimously, sorry. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the tentative 2015-16 school calendar. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Kimberly, you had a question on this?
Yeah, when was this taken out of the consent agenda today?
It was taken out at the request of
Today.
a board member. It was taken out on Friday, I believe.
Okay.
Maybe, or yesterday.
Yeah, that's fine. So I just had a question about why we are beginning school before Labor Day, because I've had a lot of parents, of course, ask me that question and are not so happy about it. So.
Sure. So I'll take a stab. I think I know this. I share that same frustration myself. If you actually look at the calendar this year, Labor Day is September 7th. It's the absolute latest day that Labor Day can be, with the first being the preceding Tuesday. So knowing that we have to have 180 school days, and once you put in all of the designated holidays and breaks of the year, it really comes down to how late one is comfortable getting out in June.
Which would put us to June 23rd, I think, if we
Would
started after Labor Day.
put us, let's see, if we didn't start until the Tuesday after Labor Day, that would put us to the 21st as the last student day by my count.
Oh, okay.
And then the 22nd would be the last staff day. So any snow days, of which, knock on wood, we've been very fortunate the last 3 years, would then push the school year even farther than that.
So my concern is that parents tend to take, I know we have things that we go to, but I know other parents have different events that they go to, or last vacations, and they end up taking that Friday off anyway. So my only concern is that many kids might end up losing a day for things that they have planned.
Yeah, we've been fortunate the last couple of years that the way the calendar's fallen, we've been able to start the Tuesday after Labor Day. It's just the way the days cycle. Some years, unfortunately, this is the way that it comes about. So, but certainly understand your concerns. There have been years when we've actually started days in August for similar reasons. So at least on the positive side, we're into September. Jeff, anything else you'd add about the start date? Thanks.
I have a question about the timing of the elementary conferences. I had a lot of parents ask about timing from October back to November, and just wondering a little more detail on that.
So Kathleen may be better able to answer this. Maybe you could come up to the podium. Keep it up here already.
Yeah.
So a couple of years ago, when we negotiated the current collective bargaining agreement and agreed on the collaboration time on Wednesday and moving to quarterly reporting and semester reporting for elementary, one of the things we discussed at the time was moving the conference days quite a bit earlier into October. And I think we've had now 2 years of experience. Is that right? 1 year of experience. And when NSEA surveyed the elementary staff this year to get input about the calendar negotiations, one of the things that elementary teachers wanted was to move the conferences later after they had more information about student progress to share with parents.
And you're right, it has been 2 years.
It has been 2 years. It was 13-14 and 14-15. As it turned out, the original idea behind the October conference was to sort of kind of set for the year and talk about getting to know the parent's child or children. And as it turned out, the relationship between the October conferences and the first quarter grade reporting just didn't work out very well for the teachers. And that was the rationale for moving it back to where it was, or where it used to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. Thank you.
Do you have anything to...
No, I would just add that the whole switch to the 4 reporting periods was sort of a version 1.0, 2.0, and we're still just fine-tuning a little about where it's most appropriate to talk to parents. So as Jeff said, once you've done a first quarter report and now you've got information on the child to discuss how things are going right at the beginning of the year is an easier thing to do than October when you're still learning who they are as learners. So.
Dawn, before they leave the mic, did you have any questions on this?
I have questions. I have heard complaints from community members about starting after Labor Day. I've had complaints about how November doesn't look to have much school in it at all. And I believe I made it clear in the last calendar approval that I would not be approving any calendar with wasted Wednesdays on them. So we still have this early release Wednesday. I'll still be voting against the calendar, but in addition to that, I'm voting against the calendar because of the Labor Day issue as well.
Did you have a question, Dawn? Or?
No question.
Okay,
I'm voting against
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion on this item?
I was just gonna give a little feedback as an elementary parent, since I'm still in that realm of a younger child. The October was really hard, so I think having, that was just, I think, a lot for the teachers, and it was a lot for the parents, for feedback with brand new teachers. So I don't like the idea that we have a week in November where basically the kids aren't going to school, so I agree with them on that. I mean, that makes it tough also, but October, I don't know where you put it in the schedule, because the beginning of October was, and you saw teachers just scrambling, they didn't know what to, it made it difficult on the teachers, I think, so I'm not sure where you put it.
Just as a point of clarification, they go to school half a day.
Right, no, I know,
So
but
I know
it's,
that
I might have misstated that, but,
Right.
for us, once they're there half day, it's a lot that parents are juggling too in that week, so, but I don't have an answer for it, I guess.
Seeing no further discussion, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay.
No.
The motion carries. The calendar is approved 4-1. Next item on the agenda is resolution number 719, the Transportation Vehicle Fund Budget Extension. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion or questions on this item?
I have a question about this item.
Go ahead.
We received an email requesting information about the difference in the estimated cost of buses and the authority requested. The answer given to that email was interesting. A substantial amount of spending authority is earmarked for buses, but we don't know whether or not they exist or are available. Can I get an explanation of how that process works? I seem to remember the district saying they preferred to purchase new, and so I'm glad to see us using some cost-saving ideas for buses. But if we don't know that there are going to be any available, how many buses do you need, and will you then have to order new ones if they aren't available?
Ryan is at the mic.
Can you repeat your question, please?
Yeah.
So I'd like to know more about the process of this purchasing used buses with the remainder of the authority. It was quite a bit of money, and I'm wondering if, so there's no guarantee that you know that there will be any available?
Correct.
So how many buses are you hoping to purchase that way? How many do you need? And so will you need to be ordering new ones if they're not available?
The answer is no to that, so we won't be ordering new ones if there's no used buses available. The process that we typically go through is we work with neighboring districts or districts around our areas who may be surplusing. So that's the big key, is if they surplus. And then if they surplus, districts have the opportunity to then purchase buses from the districts who are surplusing those buses. And we won't know that until a surplus list is generated from the selling district, and our technicians, mechanics, has an opportunity to go through and vet through the automotive aspects of it.
Brian, is it fair to say that these, if we were interested in any surplus buses, they would likely be specialty buses and perhaps not the large transit buses?
Yeah,
we purchased a smaller bus, I think a lift bus from Bellevue earlier this year.
Yeah, they would be more of your B buses, your special B buses. So that's one of the things that we would certainly look at. A good example is as Larry said, we just purchased a used bus from Bellevue School District who had very low miles. Once our mechanics vetted through the automotive side of it, felt that this was a very reasonable purchase for us. And we thought this was a great deal for the district from a used bus perspective.
Okay, so you're not talking about the large buses?
We're not necessarily
You're not talking about a specific amount of buses that you're looking to purchase. You're just looking for quite a bit of budget extension.
Yeah, we're just looking for a budget extension to give. Correct. We're looking for a budget extension to give us the opportunity and flexibility to purchase used buses as they come online.
You don't typically have that flexibility?
We actually maxed out our flexibility. That's why we're asking for a budget extension.
Okay, thank you very much.
So my understanding was when we were talking about the whole later start issue, and I just want clarity on this for when we have future discussions like this, was that we weren't going to use that $4 million, even though it was available, because that was one of the suggestions I had proposed. Why don't we use some of that $4 million to buy new buses? And then my understanding was we weren't going to be doing that for a period of time. So did I misunderstand that, or?
But then the board directed staff to.
That's what these are for, is the shuttles?
Have shuttles available for the 2 through 7 options.
Four of them are the shuttle buses?
Well, actually, the buses is for a greater need than just the start time. So we have continued growth in our north end.
Right.
That we have crowded buses. We have special need that's growing, a population that's growing. We have our EAP and AAP that continues to grow. And then we have our kindergarten sort of shuttles that's continuing to grow. So the buses that we're purchasing is not earmarked for a specific program.
Right.
It's for the general instructional program that we need to address for fall of 2015.
Yeah, that makes sense, that they're not being used for one purpose. I just thought starting 2015 that we had the buses that we needed and we weren't going to be looking to buy because it took so long to make those purchases. So maybe that was more my question, a clarification. No. Can we get a bus schedule, like how often we buy them? I mean, is there any way that the board can get, or do we have that available?
Yes.
That might be helpful to see kind of the bigger picture, because I feel like sometimes we're sitting up here trying to make decisions about all these various things, and sometimes I feel that I'm not all the way informed, and that might be something to help inform those decisions.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Any other questions on this item? Seeing none, are we doing a voice vote?
I think it's probably safe just to continue to do voice votes.
Okay. So we'll continue. I don't know if you heard that, Don. We'll continue to do a voice vote for each item. So for action item number 13, resolution number 719, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the acceptance of constructability review report for Woodinville High School Phase 3 modernization. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. And this, the extract of the constructability report was in the a December briefing. I don't know if you were able to take a look at that, but is there any discussion or any questions on this item?
So is it over budgeted now or on target?
Woodville High School Phase 3?
Yes.
It is on target for its budget.
Okay. I couldn't tell between the two numbers, the 14,467 and the 13. What was our original?
Our original budget for that was 17 million.
So we're under. Okay.
But there are likely some expenses in there that aren't included in the construction costs.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that's 5 unanimous. We'll move on to the next agenda item, which is the second reading of board policies 7210, revenues from local taxes, 7220, revenues from state resources and the federal government, 7320, purchasing authorization and control, 7321, bids and contracts, 7324, relations with vendors, and 7333, deferred compensation plans. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on these, any of these policies? This is the second time we're seeing them.
Yes. I'd like to add on 724. So, can I discuss with you first before I make a motion?
It would be correct for you to make the motion and then we'll have the discussion.
I would like to make a motion to add after gifts or favor, that we also add and meals, so that it's clear to board members and to the administration. Because gift or, okay, that's what I'd like to add.
So there's been a revision suggested that we would add gift, comma, meals,
or in some
or gift or favor or meals. What is your
rationale for that?
No. What is the language that you would like inserted there?
Gifts, meals, or favors would be fine.
Okay, we're gonna.
Cindy, are you able to insert that?
Okay.
We don't have the electronic copy here.
All right, we're not going to insert it electronically. We'll just open it up for discussion. Although first we need a motion to approve that. Yeah. So Kimberly has made that motion.
I'll do the second.
Okay. Do you want to provide your rationale and then we'll discuss?
So with the situation that we
Can I
had.
ask for a second? You're going to need to speak into the mic a little more.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Amy seconded it. Gave a second. With the situation we had with with Merle, and it not being clear when I came on the board whether meals were could be accepted at group events, and that we all went to meals that were paid for, and subsequently had this policy and found out that that's not something that we should be accepting. That's unclear to me when it says gift or favor. I don't think of a meal as a gift, and so I just would like it to be more clear, especially for new board members. And I've actually, now reported that on my F1 and went back and made an amendment. So, because it was something that it's a specific question that they ask on the F1 financial statement. So, I just think it's important, and if they ask specifically food, and I don't know exactly the language they ask it in, but they do ask about meals. So I think we should then have it more specific where it matches what we're having to report.
Okay. Is there any other discussion on Kimberly's amendment?
I would agree with that amendment.
Okay, I don't see any other discussion, so we'll take a vote. All those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. All right, the amendment passes 5-0, so we are now back to the original approval with the amended language. So,
I have an amendment.
okay.
I move to insert the word superintendent in sentences 3 and 4 of this policy between the words members and administrators. Or between where they are.
Is there a second?
Second. So we can discuss. So we're discussing now, right? So
let me,
okay.
Yeah, I'll just let Dawn speak to that first.
So as the maker of the motion, I believe that there's a distinction there. We have 5 superintendents in the district, and they have different titles, different pay scales, different contracts, and different